Hi, I'm Ted Ganscher from G.A. Today we're going to take a few minutes to look at the most critical factors in helping you discover, align around, and articulate your most powerful company and product messaging. We've been doing this for over 20 years, and we have a three-part, three-month process that helps companies get from noisy or commodity or obsolete messaging to very powerful messaging. What I want to share with you is a really popular part of that process, and it's the centerpiece of the process. It's a workshop we call the Summit, and it brings together all of the key players in the effort. Now, the way we start it is by aligning around these three terms. What do they mean? We each know them, but we have slightly different definitions, so it's good to work from a common definition. But as importantly, this section of the summit helps to elevate the thinking and the effort to 100,000 feet. It's been our experience that whether internal or external, messaging efforts can very quickly devolve and become very convoluted, get into details and features and so forth. So what this helps do is bring the room's thinking up to 100,000 feet. And let's take a look at a few examples. So we start by talking about brand. What is a brand? And the way we'll define the brand in the room is the sum total of your thoughts, emotions, expectations, and aspirations around really any entity at all. Everything has a brand, whether they made it or we made it for them. So I can ask people in the room for 2 or 3 words to describe any of these entities, and they're probably going to be pretty similar words because these entities have stewarded their brands very well. The same goes in B2B. We've run this exercise in both B2B and B2C. Same rules and processes apply. So let's talk about how the brands we love are created. We like using consumer brands because we all have a shared understanding of how they communicate with us and how we react to them. So we like talking about consumer brands. In B2B circumstances, we tend to get more vertical brands that you have to be in that space to understand. So let's talk about Apple. It is kind of the gold ring of brands. So let's take a look at in the room. I'll ask people to read this copy. I'll ask you to do the same, and I'll meet you at the bottom. So one thing we notice in this copy is there's no mention of what the company does, what the product is, or what we do with it. There's a lot of talk about us, though, and what we want, and what's important to us. And there's a lot of tribe building going on here. And so it's interesting to look at an example of kind of a top-tier brand that introduced themselves by not talking about themselves at all. Another example of this is Nike. Nike doesn't sell athletic gear. They sell us being the very best versions of ourselves that we can be. And when you take that position and you take that risk, you can do outstanding executions like this. And when you get into a position like this, what you do is you weaken your competition because nobody can move into this space. And I'll show you how that works. So let's talk about category now. Whatever company you're sitting in, whatever products you sell, your category is just a set of solutions to a problem. And so I took a problem that's common to all of us. We get hungry. So I'm hungry and I need some food. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to look for solutions. Very quickly, commonly in categories, it breaks down into subcategories. And so in each one of these, our needs and our buying triggers and the way we evaluate all of the different solutions inside those subcategories changes. So I chose to introduce the positioning grid using ice cream. And this is a positioning grid that we use, and it looks very, very simple, and it is. The reason it's simple is because simple delivers clarity on the customer-facing side. And so we come up with 2 attributes that are differentiating, defensible, and critical to our market, and we position ourselves high and to the right, and we reposition our competition low and to the left. So let's take a look at an example, Ben & Jerry's. So Ben & Jerry's, their position was born of their founder's passion. Quirky flavors, and being cause-focused. And they decided there's a large enough market of people for whom those 2 attributes are critical enough that they'll make a buying decision based on that positioning, and all of the competitors will be repositioned low and to the left. So Ben & Jerry's owns a position high and to the right and repositions their competitors low and to the left using these attributes. Haagen-Dazs doesn't care about that because they have their own positioning where Ben & Jerry's and the others are low and to the left, probably around premium. So again, this is how category looks. Very simple diagram, very difficult to get to a position that's defensible and powerful. So when I ask in the room, give me some cars that are positioned high and to the right around the attributes of prestige and engineering, and I always get the same ones. And that means these are moved low and to the left. Now, Subaru doesn't care that they're low and to the left in prestige and engineering. That actually kind of suits them because their positioning is more around love and relationships. But again, BMW, Mercedes, and Audi, they decided to play in that market and compete on a positioning of prestige and engineering. Now, sometimes a new category comes out and tells us there's a problem we didn't even know we had, which was hotels are inauthentic. And so Airbnb decided it would be interesting to break the old rule of don't let strangers in your home and reposition all of these hotel chains as being reasonably inauthentic and not immersive to the travel experience. And so that positioning led to incredible success, of course, and a repositioning of these legacy companies. This is the biggest landmine and the most stepped on landmine. And I talked before about how messaging efforts can wander off into details. Particularly in the technology space, but in many spaces, positioning around features is something that people do and it never goes well. So you have feature A, it's unique to you. You also have feature B, so do they. And so you put some resources into your sales and marketing around that feature, and then 6 months later, it's not defensible anymore. It's not differentiating anymore, and you've got to go off and find another feature. And that's why defensibility is so important. And that's why thinking at 100,000 feet about this stuff is important, because the easiest solution is to just put a feature as each of these attributes, but it's a terrible long-term decision. Now, if you don't brand and position, the market does do it for you. And so I ask in the room, what is the brand or position of this company? And typically what I get back is, it's an airline. And if you remember, there's a category name and 2 attributes. When people say this is an airline, it means that there's no attributes. If I said describe Southwest Airlines, I'm going to get a paragraph. Here I'm going to get a word. So if people don't say anything about you, it probably means you haven't done your work. I do get the argument, hey, we need to make money this quarter. I get it, Apple, Nike, they're big brands, right? But positioning is a way to convert sales very quickly. And if you think about it, when you look at some of the best taglines out there, they really are just really creative executions of positionings. And so Just Do It is about being the best athlete within us and overcoming that predisposition to not go out and give it a try. Dollar Shave Club is literally time and money. And somebody just, good copywriter, said shave time, save money. BMW, which we already talked about, is all about prestige and engineering, and the Ultimate Driving Machine expresses that very powerfully. So in a perfect world, if you can do positioning correctly and quickly, and you can express it creatively correctly and quickly, you will be converting people more quickly. So if you look at positioning on the left, if I walk onto the lot and I want prestige and engineering, I may say this BMW is going to do it for me. It obviously is, it's marketing itself around that. Its characteristics personify that. So I might walk off the lot with a BMW. Now, all of the experiences BMW provides me with, all of the brand touch points they provide me with, only really a few of which are listed down here, are going to build more of a relationship. And when you get that, then you move to the lifetime value of the customer. Brand switching slows down, right? And now we can really talk about the sum total of all of their thoughts, emotions, expectations, aspirations related to your company. It's not that we're never going to talk about features. It's just that we're going to do it at the right time. So I hope you enjoyed that. We do have a longer version of this video that I'm happy to share. And we also have a complete and complimentary do-it-yourself brand category position workshop, which comes with all of the slides, all of the paperwork you need to do it. And that process only takes 3 weeks. For people who don't have the resources maybe to engage, to have a third party come in, that 3-week workshop will, I guarantee you, get you to a place that's better than where you are right now. Any comments, any questions? If you'd like a copy of that, please just drop us a note at messaging@g.8.co, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks a lot.